Let's
Continue in
go.
2 seconds here. Marky, I hear the delay actually. Let me fix that real quick. And it's probably gonna get worse before it gets better here. Can you
It's
hear
all
me
good,
first of
man.
all? We're
Yes,
good?
I do hear you clear and everything. It's just a slight delay.
Okay. So I have this fun new thing that happens on whenever I stream here is whenever I exit the browser, the it just Riverside is not happy with it and it delays the conversation from my end here. So it should be back any minute now. So in the meantime, welcome everyone. My name is Trav. We've got Marky here with us today, and you reached us here at Ship Guild. We have our weekly live streams every single Friday at 4 p.m. UTC. What is that? 9 o'clock a.m. PST, 12 o'clock p.m. EST. There we go. There we go. So thank you guys so much for taking the time to join us today. We're gonna have an awesome conversation. And if you guys are on X, which I imagine usually about 90% of you guys are, this will absolutely rather apply to you. And we're going to be talking about how to actually build organic reach on X and some different ways that we do that. For myself personally, I'm definitely going to bring AI into the conversation because that is like in terms of figuring out what I'm doing wrong, strategizing how to do things right. It has been an absolute game changer. And then we'll just see where the conversation goes here. So, Marky, my man, this has been a long anticipated live stream between us. Why don't you let everyone know who you are and just give us a glimmer on why you're so freaking awesome, dude?
Dude, why I'm so awesome, man, is because people like yourself, Trav, that give me the platform to come up here, dude, and speak about myself, first off. So hats off to you, dude. I love the streams you've been doing. You've been absolutely killing it. I know we've been talking a little bit about, you doing the clips now for Soul Flare, things like that. So absolutely rocking, dude. And it's people like yourself, dude, that it rubs off on others, you know what I'm saying? And one of those people is myself. And I think that's one of the things that's necessarily never competition, but it's always, I see Trav doing this thing. So it's like, I have to do my thing now. You know what I'm saying? And we have to just keep pushing each other in that sense. It's never been about competition, but it's about pushing each other. So we both become successful in what we're doing. So a little bit about myself, dude. I've been in the space for 5, 6 years now, dude, on Solana since 2021, man. Got in, the very early times when NFTs were popping off. And I learned a lot, honestly, dude, during that time. Started off kind of just like everybody else, became a moderator and started working myself. And the community is what's always kept me on Solana, dude. It was never about the money. It was never about, anything else, but like the people that were here. I genuinely really loved meeting the people that were here. We had, RL is what I tell people is it's hard to communicate and meet people, founders from different companies and such things as that. And this has given us that gateway where you're able to speak with, people that own companies, people like yourself that, do video editing creators. I mean, the list goes on and on from engineers to developers. You have that access points here through this. So, dude, just kind of worked my way up, dude. Worked with a bunch of NFT projects on the come up, and then landed with Soulflare, dude, as an ambassador now, dude. So doing a lot of work with them, dude, with the working group specifically. Shout out to the Vanguard. You know what I'm saying? Got to give a shout out to the Vanguard team. But all of them, honestly, all the working groups, the dojo and Bifrost as well, they're absolutely killing it. I think it's something that I've always wanted to be something a part of. And I think they gave us the gateway to be a part of something so great to help others achieve what they want to achieve. So, other than that, dude, as recently a couple weeks ago, I opened up a very small, local bakery here, a little bakery stand
Yeah,
where
man. Tell us
people
a little
come
bit
up
about that
and
if you're into it.
yeah, dude. People. So the idea came from really a lot of permits and issues that I was running into when trying to find something to do here in Florida on my weekends. Just something that take up a little bit of my time. And honestly, dude, I've been baking for a little bit of time now. I actually got a bread machine not too long ago. Started making different
Nice.
breads, things like that, and just getting more involved. And I actually liked it. I enjoyed it.
Hell yeah.
My mom growing up was actually a baker herself. She actually used to make like specialty cakes and stuff. So, I
Dang.
kind of used to see that growing up, her hustle. I remember walking in the kitchen, she would have 50 cakes laid out in boxes, you know what I'm saying, for like deliveries and stuff. So I grew up with that. And recently, about a year ago, when COVID kind of started, my sister actually started doing like baking for like cookies, like specialty, like crumble cake cookies, those special kind of very sugary cookies that like probably
Yes.
give you, diabetes, but she got
I'm
into that
into it.
herself. Yeah, trust me. But then, dude, I just, like I said, kind of got involved myself and wanted to start doing different things. And I honestly wanted to go back to like my roots, where I'm from and what kind of like desserts there is, things like that. And I started kind of experimenting with my own taste and such, and then just kind of started growing from there. Got hooked up with my homie that I grew up with, that I've been out here since Jacksonville, man. And we just came up with a plan and we started executing, man. Started building the shed, started getting all the logos made. Shout out to again the Vanguard for helping me create all the
Yes.
logos and everything. But dude, and then look at us now, 3 weeks in, after opening, we're already selling out every weekend. We've already got wholesale orders. I actually have a meeting on Wednesday now with another restaurant to wholesale their bread orders, dude. So like the expansion is becoming happened very quickly. Let's just put it that way. I was not expecting us
Oh.
to be just selling out, blowing up on TikTok and social media. And to be to this point where it's like I might have to start hiring people now. I can't do this myself, especially with
Unbelievable.
these wholesale orders. It's becoming where it's like if I need to make 100 breads, I can't do that on my house. You know what I'm saying?
No
Unfortunately, I
way.
can't. I wish I could, but I can't. So it's like I have to now start thinking a little bit bigger than we were at before, which is crazy because I would have never thought in 3 weeks we've already been to this point. So that's kind of a little, history of
Unbelievable.
the background with everything on the small bakery that we started up.
Congratulations, man. Congratulations. No, you definitely okay, first of all, that's unheard of in the business world, especially for like entrepreneurs starting their own business from scratch here. 3 weeks and you're already at this level where the expansion is happening so fast is like I don't think people understand really how much of like a great white buffalo sort of situation that is. That is huge here. So I have one question that's also partly a segue back into content creation because you touched on, blowing up on social media. Actually, you know what? We're here. I'm curious. I'll just ask you right now here. So how big of a part do you think that social media played in, you guys blowing up so quickly?
It played 90% of
Wow.
the blow up we've had. Seriously.
Wow. Unbelievable, man.
10% was, word of mouth and kind of really just telling people about it, saying we're opening, going out to these local events and such. But I would say the videos that I posted when we opened up were the
Mhm.
videos that just catapulted us, especially
Unbelievable.
on TikTok, specifically on TikTok. We had a video I think reach over 20K views in hours. I
Wow.
mean, we really just blew it out the water. That weekend was actually the slow weekend before the
That's
weekend
yeah.
after. The second week is when we just, I mean, when I say there was a line at the door, people were
Yeah.
ready and we sold out in 4 hours. We were done, sold out
Unreal,
completely
man.
in 4 hours.
Wow. Impressive, dude. Like, seriously, that's wild. So, okay, first of all, I'm just reacting to that because that's such a massive accomplishment, especially because, you guys have had some trials and tribulations during that process as well. And, I'm not about to just force you to talk about anything you don't want to here, but I know
Nah, lay it
firsthand from
out,
some of the
man.
posts that, you guys have been through some shit and this has
Oh,
not been easy to get here and like some serious life altering shit here, man. Yeah,
it's
I'll
been
just like
tough.
I'll open the door to that. If you feel like talking about
Yeah,
that and like
man.
how you guys overcame that, I think that'd be really
Trav,
valuable for our audience.
one thing I will say, Travis, you asked me, man, what I always tell people, and since I've been in this crypto space, is I have nothing to hide. I don't,
Love it, man.
I have nothing to hide. One thing I've learned from my mentor, and RIP to my mentor, he taught me everything where I'm at today, literally. If it wasn't for him,
Love
I
it.
wouldn't even be here, I think. But he always
Wow.
said, keep your palms wide open, there's
Love
no
that.
reason to hide anything. What the only times you need to hide anything is if you're really doing something negative, if you're trying to, do something bad with somebody, scam, there's only that time where you really need to hide something. For me in this space, everybody knows what I've done. Everybody knows every project I've worked for. I don't have to say anything myself. People already know where I come from. You know what I'm saying? From
I love
even
it.
losing my account at 10K followers on my, last year at that account. And still to this day, there's people that, oh, dude, Mark, I didn't even know you had a new account, dude. Where you been at?
What?
And it's like people already know. Like, I don't have to
Wow.
say much, man. And I think it's because of the positive. I've just always tried to help people, dude. And kind of leaning to that, into the story is my homie, man. The week actually after our opening, the day after he actually ice got him, dude. Unfortunately, And the crazy part is he's actually been working on his paperworks and things like
Mhm.
that, dude. And we actually had it's a waiting period until 2028 where we would
What?
actually he would get his citizenship, 100%,
Yeah.
be good. So he
Yeah.
was in the process and everything. So it wasn't that, he's been running off. It's been a long legal battle with what he's going
Yeah,
through. And
man.
it's just unfortunate that with the current administration, it's very strict,
Yeah.
And, I've talked to a lot of people out here, some lawyers as well. And it's crazy because it's not just your regular police department, where you can call up and figure out where they're at. They keep this information very secretive. Even the whole altercation itself was very interesting, I will say.
Mhm.
And it's very difficult to figure it out. But
I'm sure
we're
that's an
here today,
understatement. Yeah.
and I had conversation with him last week, on the phone. He gave me a call. I finally got to spoke with him and he's doing all right. I know it's
Good.
tough and the situation is very tough, but we're pushing through it. And like I told him, it's like, dude, we started this together and we're just gonna keep pushing it. There's no
Amazing, man.
reason to end it. There's gonna be one thing's gonna come out. And I will say that, when you're on the rise, there's gonna be a lot of things that are gonna push you down. You know what I'm saying, Trav? And I know you've been there
Absolutely, dude.
because I've been there myself many times where it always seems like the moment you start rocketing, that's when you start getting the speed bumps.
There's
There's
that
always
friction,
something
man.
trying to keep you down. So
100%.
it always seems to end like that, man. So for me, it's, I may not know the reasoning right now, but I bet you there's a reasoning why everything's happening the way it is. And I will, maybe
100%.
not now, maybe not in a month, maybe not even a year. I'm going to know why all of this happened, Trav. But I promise you, one day I'm going to recognize it and I'm going to be like, this is why everything happened that day. This is
I love it,
why
man.
this path led me on to this way. And we just have to take it, man. There's no point for me to being angry. Of course, emotions run at first, and me personally, if you don't know Trav, all the Nigerians and all the Guardians can tell you, I'm very direct with when I speak and do my stuff. But it's because I truly love and I'm passionate about everybody. I care about everybody, and I want to see everybody succeed. So that's kind of the background story with the stand, dude. We're still pushing and trust me and believe me that we're gonna push this to the utmost limits.
Love it, man. Well, so much to react to there. First of all, so sorry about your partner on that, man. Like that's life altering shit. And I can just imagine. I can't even begin to imagine the emotions and the the trauma that's involved with that stuff. Like being uprooted from your dream, your family, the place where you've been living for however long it's been, just to be just yeah, it just sounds terrible, man. And the fact that both of you guys are able to persevere through that, just have such a positive, forward-looking, optimistic perspective on the other side, or right in the freaking middle of it, is incredibly inspiring. So thank you for opening up on that, man. So if I can just ask you, is he in custody still, or did they actually like export? That's not the right
He's
word.
still detained.
Deport.
He's still
He's
detained.
still
He's actually
detained.
they moved them, yeah, over to Texas.
Wow.
He's in Texas right now in a detention center in Texas. So until his
Jeez,
court
man.
date, which they keep pushing back. That's the
Wow.
thing. He was supposed to have his court date 2 weeks ago, and they just keep pushing it back. So
That's wild, man. So let me just ask you this to kind of before we transition to another topic here. Is there anything that we can do to support the situation? Like, can we raise awareness? Are there any links, any petitions, anything that our community can do to help?
we do have a GoFundMe up for the family. His wife, his daughter. He does have a wife and daughter that I've been trying to help with whatever I
Yeah, man,
can. Even the mom himself. It's
for sure.
been Jackson right now is getting hit very hard with ICE presence. In our
Yeah,
special locally in our area. So I will say that the presence in the last couple of weeks has been dramatically rise. I know a lot of people in the Hispanic community that this has affected. A
wow,
lot of people that I even know that I grew up with, and it's unfortunate. But right now, what I could do is I could, pass the GoFundMe link that is directly funds for the family themselves. Like I said, for me personally, with the company and the business, we have, are raising funds with that as well to help with the lawyer fees and such
yes,
things as that. So we are, for me, it's this is like the homie, and I'm gonna do whatever needs to be done to help his family and make sure they're okay through this
absolutely,
process.
man.
So that's one thing that, a lot of people don't understand. It doesn't just affect the, immediate members of the family. It affects the friends. It affects other family members. It affects the kids, you know what I'm saying? So it's a very distraught kind of, battle, but we're holding on and we're just going to keep pushing, man.
100%, man. 100%. I'd love if you can send me that link in DMs and then I'll post it directly underneath the stream here. And we'll see if you can get a little extra support here for you. And then for you guys here who are watching, yeah, we're just looking for some support. Does not have to be monetary. Even if you just give this stream a like, a repost, any of these things, even just if you just want to comment. I would love if we can try and like spread some awareness about this because we've got good people here doing really good work and they're being held down and put into some extremely tough situations here. So if you guys can, yeah, just take a moment to yeah, engage with the post, the link that I'll actually share as soon as I get that here in my DMs, that mean so much here. So yeah, Marky, I want to sensitively start to kind of pivot back into the content creation here. But before I do, any kind of final thoughts, any kind of final words on everything that we're talking about here? I don't want this just to be a harsh transition.
No, dude, it's like I was saying earlier, Trav, and I know a lot of us have been through the trials and tribulations, you know.
Yeah,
And it's like I said, dude, when things are going right, for me, it's tough to say that I expect it, because you
yeah,
don't want to expect it. You don't want to look forward to it, but you have to be ready. And I
you have to
think
be
that's
prepared.
the key thing. You know what I'm saying? Is trying to be as prepared as possible because these things will happen. The
Yeah,
moment that your business, yourself, I mean, anything that you're building or creating, when you're on that rise, especially when it's on a quick rise, and a lot of you guys know this with stories IRL, with athletes, celebrities, music artists. You have seen those stories where the rise is quick, but the fall is even quicker. So you have to be
100%.
prepared. You have to be prepared for those moments so that way you stay up. And I think that's the best advice I can give you. Just know that there's gonna be a lot of road bumps along the way, but you got to keep going, man. You got to take those bumps and yeah, they're gonna hurt. They're gonna hurt a lot, but you got to be tough and you got to keep pushing because I'm telling you now, the end result is gonna be worth it. What you
Love
and
that,
you're
man.
gonna remember that day, and I promise you, it's gonna be way worth it when you get to the point where you're at the top of the mountain and you're like, damn, I went through and I climbed through it and justified it. Just like you, when you're climbing, I see you rock climbing, and I mean, just I'm like, oh my goodness, Trav, like I'm getting a heart attack watching you. Like, is he gonna get hurt? Like, oh my gosh, I don't want him to fall.
Nobody knows. Nobody knows.
But you have to fall to
No,
rise.
that's
You know what
great,
I'm
man.
saying, Trav? And I'm sure you fell a lot of times, dude, and got back up and kept pushing yourself, man. And that's the perseverance you gotta have.
100%, man. Nope, life, that is the essence of life here. As beautiful and as magical as it can be, those downsides are just around the corner. And I honestly think the real magic happens is if you can be prepared for it, but still maintain an attitude like yourself there, Marky. Just show up every day with the fire, feeling passionate, wanting to help out others. I think if you can survive and accept the fact that life is gonna try and knock you in the face as much as it possibly can, and still be just a really good person, you're winning. Like, doesn't matter how many impressions you get on a post, you peak,
Nope.
man. That's it. So freaking spectacular. And I think this is actually a really good way to to kind of transition now into the topic of conversation today, which is building up your presence on X here. Is it's so easy to get sucked into pure numbers, you know, strategizing just to grow your numbers, your accounts, and you kind of forgetting, the reason behind all of this. And I think, maybe let's spend a few minutes talking about this here is, how to go about optimizing your growth on X, but while keeping yourself from, getting too obsessed and too drawn into the actual numbers and getting frustrated when the numbers aren't coming. But then also, how many numbers do you actually need? If you have a core audience who's logging in, who's actually interested, who's actually having conversations with you, and you have like, let's say no more than 2,000 followers here, that could be incredibly beneficial here as well. So yeah, I feel free to kinda just take us off down that road. What are your initial thoughts about that there, Marky?
With me, dude, it's numbers never meant anything to me, dude. And I
I love it.
know for a lot of people it does. And I get it. And I truly do, especially if it's something that, you're monetized, it's something that pays your bills. I understand it in that sense. But for me personally, dude, it's never been about the numbers. It more so about the message itself that I want to portray. And for you, for a lot of people that see my content is myself. It's not necessarily, hand in hand with a company that I work for, or what I'm doing, or a certain niche even.
Yeah.
For me, it's just my lifestyle and what I do. And I think that's what people resonate with. It is the fact that, like, I've put my L's on the screen. I've shown people, my life, my history, and everything. Most people know who I am. Like I said, I really truly have nothing to hide. I've never done anybody dirty. You know, all I've ever done is try to help everybody around me. And yes,
Mhm.
maybe sometimes my attitude and things, take me off in the wrong direction. But at the end of the day, it's like I told you, Trav, it's because I care and I want to see things work
Absolutely,
out.
man.
And I'm not always right. I'm not. I make mistakes just like everybody else. Trust me, I've got a lot of faults myself. I'm not perfect. But at the end of the day, I want to try and make sure that we're really pushing this. So for like me, numbers don't mean much. It's the message personally. It's who you're trying to, really reach. And for me, my audience is those people that may be feeling a little bit down. Maybe they're, burning out a bit. Maybe they need a little bit more motivation to keep going, to keep building that website, to keep, pushing their crypto project, their NFT project, or whatever it is that they're trying to build or do, whether it's their own, creative projects or whatever. I want to be that voice where it's like, yo, Marky's going through it. And if he can go through it and go through everything that he's going through, I can do it too. Because that's
I
the
love
way I
that.
am. Sometimes I'm sitting down and and I had this conversation with you last week where, we missed the stream last week. We had a conversation, and so that way everybody's aware. We were supposed to have this last week. But me being in the situations that I am, I was overwhelmed. I was burnt out, Trav. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was running on no sleep for like 2 weeks,
I
burnt
can sense
out,
it,
dude,
man.
trying to work on the
Just through your
app, the
words.
website, doing everything myself, trying to make this
Yes.
work, for everybody. So for me, dude, it's really, you have to be passionate about doing it. Is the first thing. You have
Yeah.
to have a passion for it. Yeah, if you're strictly here for the money, you're gonna burn out. I've seen it happen hundreds of times in the last couple of years with creators. There's a lot of
Absolutely.
creators that are still not here to this day. They left and never came back, never created again. Because they burnt out, because they were trying to chase those numbers, those impressions, those views, that monetary value. You get burnt out. For me, it's I do this because it's a passion. And then I've been slacking a little bit with my crypto content and stuff, but I'm glad that there's people like you and others that are stepping up and creating that great content, because then it's like, okay, I'm slipping a little bit, but I know Trav and all the Soulflare teams killing it on content now. You know what I'm saying? So we help each other out. We keep that balance. It's the same thing, with me and my homie. He's not around, so I got to keep that balance. We have
Mhm.
to. So it's the same thing. So don't let the numbers determine, what you're trying to do or who you are. Because the moment you do, that's when your content becomes less quality and it becomes something that really isn't you. And for me, at
100%.
least as me being the audience member watching you, I want to make sure that I know who you are, where you come from. You know what I'm saying? I want to make sure that you're a good person, and that's why I watch your streams, Trav, because I know for a fact Trav is doing this because he's a great person. He's an amazing person that wants to give people a platform to speak on. So it's the same thing, dude. And that's where, like, me and your values kind of align. We're
100%.
we're not here for the numbers. We're not here for the paycheck. We're here to help others. We truly are. And we want to see others succeed. And I think that's the biggest, use case. If you're here for the numbers, I don't even want you around me, personally.
Hey, man,
But
straight up. I mean, I get it. I get it. I 100% here. So there's a couple things to just like many, many things actually to take away. But there's a couple specific things that I really want to highlight is that, if you want to be here for the long run, you kind of have to really dial down why you even want to be here. And if you can do that, and if you have a similar kind of goal as Marky, for example, someone who genuinely wants to be here to throw their heart out on their sleeve, to help others, to help lift people up and to be a part of a community that works towards a common goal. Authenticity is the best way, man. And if you can do that, you're still gonna grow. Like 100% you're gonna grow, and probably, a lot quicker than anyone who's just posting mindless, thoughtless, soulless content here day in and day out just to get paid here. But I honestly find, the weeks, the months where I'm very consistent on just posting raw trav content about, things that I'm struggling with, things that I'm working on. Honestly, those are the weeks and months that I do the best impressions wise, which is just it's fantastic here. And it kind of keeps that slow growth happening over time. And like honestly, that's kind of been my main strategy since I've started my X account in 2020, 2021 here. And I mean, it's absolutely working. And I've
Hmm.
never really had like mega viral consistent content here or anything like that. But my following's growing. My impressions are kind of maintaining, slowly growing. I'm getting more content here and there that's breaking 1,000 impressions, sometimes even breaking 2,000 impressions. But I think the most important thing for me is, the value that I really get, and maybe we can talk about this for a second here, is that even kind of growing at this slow pace, I the opportunities that are presenting to me has been absolutely incredible.
Hmm.
Connecting with the Soulflare team, getting these opportunities to video edit it for a team that is just absolutely outstanding to work with. Coming on here and doing my weekly live streams with Quantic here. Yeah, just the amount of stuff that I've learned from him and from other guests has been massive. These monetary opportunities to actually work in an industry that I love, just meeting excellent people here like yourself and just having having conversations like this truly number one is the best thing that I get from
Hmm.
being out here on X, because people don't even understand how valuable it is to have these real life conversations. It's so easy to get sucked into just grinding so hard day in and day out. You forget what it's like to be a human and have these conversations with people that will actually lift you up, actually make you feel good, actually teach you something useful here. So, like, all of these things have happened just from being consistent growing on X here. And that's like best decision I ever made was to start
Hmm.
creating on X, just for that alone. Now, one thing though I do want to acknowledge is that I do believe there is a time and a place to really hone in your strategy for X, especially if you have professional goals, especially if I mean, there's no denying it. The more reach you have, the more impressions you get, the more opportunities will come.
Hmm.
Since really doubling down for the last 3 months on X and committing to the process, that has been when I have gotten these life-changing opportunities that I am now experiencing here. So I do think there is some value to kind of understand and know the rules of posting on X, because I think that if you can do it the right way, you can do it in a way that's not going to burn you out. It'll still allow you to post what you want to post. You can just make some tweaks here and there so you can make it extra effective. And I think that would be a fun way to spend maybe the next 15 minutes talking about here. Just to kind of share that value, that these nuggets of alpha that we've learned in our experience from being here for X amount of years, pun fully intended here, and share that with our audience here. So first of all, before kinda getting specific here with questions, how does that land with you? Any kind of initial reactions to that? Any follow-up to that you have?
Yes, dude, and I completely agree. For me, it's never been, like I said, a quick race to it. As you told yourself, you've been here since 2021, and I imagine the growth from 2021 to 2026 has been incredible. Whether you see it or
Yes.
you don't, because sometimes even me myself, I have to remind myself, like, yo, like, look where I was at in 2020, look where I'm at now. I have to
Yes.
remind myself because sometimes I'm either comparing myself to somebody else or whatever. But the real person you need to compare yourself is that person you were before, you know?
100%. That
So
is the alpha right there,
that's
brother.
the alpha right
It's
there. That
so
truly is the
easy,
alpha.
yep,
That
to get
truly is,
lost into
man.
comparing yourself to others, and that's another real quick way to burning out as well. The only person you need to compare yourself to is your previous version of yourself here, so write that
That's
one down,
right.
please, friends. That's
That
what
that's
I will be
the
clipping
alpha.
that
Or you
too.
gotta write that in the notebook. I'm telling you that is a goal. Seriously. But dude, it's the truth. I rather every opportunity I've never rushed into was the
Yeah,
best opportunities that I've ever had,
love it.
including the opportunity with Soulflare and being to the point, you know. It was something that, from previous experience, but also putting my head down and focusing in that area and helping them out. And that's another thing I want to kind of dive into is like, don't expect anything when you start
Yeah,
something. And I'm sure even with you, Trav, in the situation where you're starting to see all these opportunities, it's not like you were just, expecting to get something from somebody. You were just doing the
100%.
work, and the work and the hustle came to you. You put in the work, the people came to you. It's the same thing I'm doing with the bakery. I put in the work and look what happens. Now I have clients. Now I have repeats that are coming every week. It's the same thing,
Bro.
whether it's IRL or in Web3. It works both ways, man. So I completely agree with everything that you were saying, dude. I rather have that slow come up because it's always going to be an organic come up and maybe a little bit slower, I will say, than having that quick rise. But trust me, that slow rise is going to get you with those projects or that business that has been there for those years, that's still around after 5 years, instead of that company that's just around for 6 months to a year. So
Boom. That is the alpha, man. Really well said. Really well said. So I'm curious, man, on your journey. So first of all, here, I just want to jump back to that point that you made that you had an account already that had 10K plus followers here. And then that disappeared, unfortunately. And I imagine by this point, you've kind of ruled that out. You're not getting that back. That sucks. That absolutely sucks. So what sort of lessons did you learn from that in terms of like what happened initially? How did you get banned? Because I think that's important to go over because I've been just a quick segue here, a quick tangent sidebar here. Over the last couple of weeks, I have been absolutely obsessing over, what are the rules in the algo? What is actually coded into the algorithm right now so that I can understand, what are the hard no's and what are the hard yeses when I come here every day. And one thing that I realized is that there's a list of punishments and then there's a list of boosting things that push you forward if you're following these rules here. If you the best possible thing that you can do to be boosted is 10 times less than how badly you're going to get punished if if you break one of the rules. So you will it's like 300 to 30. It's vastly different here. So just know that if you do break these rules, the punishment is a hell of it's again, it's 10 times worse than it would be if you do like all the things the best possible way that you can do. So yeah, before I start rambling here, tell us what happened and then sort of what lessons you learned from kind of like the negative what not to do column here first.
yes. So, like always, security. Security is one thing that I will say is should be priority in this space specifically because there is no people watching over your stuff. There is no bank, watching over your funds and all this or that or any security if your money gets taken or anything like that. Their punishments are very hard to do in Web3, I will say as well. So for me, dude, it was actually I think right after I got my badge and everything with Soulflare. Actually, a couple months later, I got no, it was it before? Might have been before. I can't remember. But it was because I actually got offered an opportunity. And with this opportunity, it was actually a big account, a Web3 company that reached out to me. I did tons of research. As knowing me, I do tons of research on companies
Hell
and
yeah,
stuff.
man.
I found out it was a real legit company, crypto company. They've been around for some time. They, gold check mark. I mean, everything just checked off the list. You go through that list and you're like, okay, this seems legit. They were speaking to me daily. We were having conversations. We went over to Telegram. I did an interview with them even as well, like an actual interview with them for the job
Wow.
spot and everything. A week after that, I was actually, believe it or not, having a birthday party. It was my sister's
Mm.
birthday party, and it was at my house. Of course, the perfect timing for all this to happen. So while I have my whole family here, all this is going on. I get an email saying that, hey, you got approved for this job and everything like that, blah, blah, blah. And we need to have a meeting so that way we can, get you all squared away. So I said, okay, perfect. I'll do it real quick. The moment I clicked on that link, it wasn't
No.
the real link. It was,
No.
it had, I think, one letter off or something like that at the end, threw it completely off, was actually a link that went onto my computer. So it's like one of those phishing links and actually started taking all my data. And of course, me being, I thought after the interview, I was done. I go back out, I'm on the grill cooking some burgers. Next thing I know is I'm getting notifications in my email. Your password has been changed. Your
No.
email has been changed. Your X account password has been changed. Your Facebook account is so all this is going repeated
What?
all at the same time. I'm getting notification, like and I'm like, oh my gosh, I got.
What?
So Yeah.
Oh,
So all this is going on. I try to, finish up, hurry up back to my computer. Can't log into nothing. Couldn't log in.
wow.
Everything was changed. My phone number was changed. Everything was done at that point. And
Oh,
at that point,
man.
I knew I messed up really bad, Trav. I messed up really bad. It was
Wow.
very tough because, like I said, I had my family over, and it's not something that I could just, kind of just blow up and I had to kind of take it in the chin. No, it
Mhm.
was already a loss, and I knew that after this party, I was gonna have to figure out what happened. And that's
Yeah, man.
exactly what happened that night after everybody left, is what I figured out. And it was because of that link with that company. Found out eventually the day or a couple of days later, once I started doing my research, that company got hacked on their main account. So they actually lost
Wow.
their, the big company Go Checkmark. They, lost all social accounts. They got hacked. So yep, then they started looking for people, and I got hacked. So it was a big social engineering scam pretty
Damn.
much. And these guys were good. Like I said, I had an interview with them, everything, and they got me. So very good social engineering. I will say I know that's one of the worst scams out there, and because it's a scam that I've seen happen many times in Web3, and it's a
Yeah.
scam that can last 1, 2, 3 weeks. It's not one of those quick scams where they just send you a link. Oh, I'm trying to offer you a job, where you get into spam, and it's this, hot girl sending you a DM, and she's like, "Hey, I would
Obvious,
love to offer
man.
you a job for $10,000 a week." It's not that simple. It
That's
was
not
a
too good to be true at
very
all.
thought out, scam. I talked to multiple people, thinking they were
Wow,
all part of the
man.
company. It was a very good scam. So that's what happened. I lost my account that I worked for 4 years for, dude. Not even that. Lost all access to my personal accounts, my Facebook,
Mhm.
my Instagrams, my Gmail, my Gmail that I've
Wow.
had for over like 20 years, Trav. I lost access to that. So that means I lost access to my banks, all my bills, everything got destroyed that moment. So trust me and believe me, when I wanted to quit, Trav, I wanted to
Yeah.
quit right there and then, because it wasn't just Web3 related. It took over my life at this point, and it destroyed my life. It really set me back a ton. I had
Wow.
sponsorships in Web3 that I lost immediately. All the connections I lost immediately. All the relationships with these big accounts, what I'm
Yeah.
saying? All these influencers, all these relations, all the DMs, track records, everything I lost. I lost everything, literally. And it sucks, and I love to talk about it because I want to help somebody out. I truly do. I tell them about my story. If anybody ever has
Yeah.
any questions, let me know, because I would never in my life want it something like this to happen to anybody else. When they worked so hard for something and you lose it all in just minutes. And that included my crypto too. All my crypto was gone besides my crypto that I had on my ledger.
Yeah.
Everything else was gone, dude. So I lost everything. But regardless of that, dude, I learned my lesson. Security. I
Mm.
really at that point secured everything from starting all
Yeah.
my new accounts. I actually got multiple security items, YubiKey, ledgers. I mean, just anything that would protect all my assets. I got it. So
Wow.
it's like right now, I know for a fact I am bulletproof. There's nobody touching anything the rest of my life, and unless they get my fingerprint or something like that.
And
So
that's a whole other level of engineering at that point. There's people coming into your home to freaking
yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're
violate you.
literally coming in and taking my paperwork out the drawer.
Yeah, man. Crap, dude. Well, fuck. Thank you for sharing that with us here. That's a nightmare situation, and I've had that. Whatever the opposite of a fantasy is, a nightmare of you know really just trying to imagine what that would be like. Because I've had a bunch of friends now who've gone through similar things here. It's so frustrating to know that there's so many people out there who are like this is their life. This is how they dedicate their life by screwing over people who have spent their lives building up
Mhm.
something incredible, and that just the dark side of humanity for sure
It
here. But you know
is.
what? After all of this, seeing where you're at now, seeing the person who you are now, after all of this, like it's that hope in humanity is absolutely not only is it still there, but it is like it's strong, man. So thank you for not only sharing with us the lessons that you learned from that experience, but then for being an example of how to overcome some of life's toughest stuff. And sometimes I think, I don't know, it's part imposter syndrome, part, just whatever. Is that how bad is that really, to have your social media account like hijacked from you? But then, you think about it, and the thousands, tens of thousands of hours that you dedicate to this, especially when you're coming here every day to actually try and help people, when you're actually trying to, lift others up around you and build a brand on positivity, like that's massive, man. And to lose that, like it's it's tragic. It's absolutely tragic, and it's not a first world problem. I truly don't think that, because anyone could have access to social media, and if you're trying to build the right way, it is a massive loss. It sucks, and I've woke up in
Hmm.
sweat imagining that would happen sometime. So, extremely valuable. I think the big thing I'm taking away is that if anyone reaches out of the cold to me to offer me something, even if it doesn't seem too good to be true, I'm not taking any face value. Like, I need to be developing a relationship with this company, with these people, like almost years ahead of time. And for
Hmm.
that conversation to kind of naturally, organically lead there. And I want to get to that relationship in the first place through somebody that I already know and trust. And you can bet that there will be tons of due diligence throughout the entire process here. But even like you said, man, you love to research. You did your due diligence, and you still got shot. Like, that is wild, man.
That's the
So,
the tough part. It's
yeah.
it's when you're thinking you're speaking with real people and really getting to know them, and then it's fake people
Yeah.
online. And that's the
And
thing you have to be careful for. And then one good point you made is knowing the people that you're going in the company with. I think that's one of the biggest things that I've learned now after that lesson is, a lot of these companies, if I do end up working with another crypto company or whatever, it's
mhm,
people I know that they're docs that other people have, established relationships with them.
yeah.
So I think that's one big point that you brought up, Trav, is make sure you know the people that are inside the company. Make sure they're real people. Make sure that they've done some things. That you've seen them. Go at breakpoint. They know people. They've been out here. They know a lot of the influencers or whatever the case. These high people. So I think that's one of the biggest things that will keep you from ever going through the social engineering kind of scam that I went through.
100%, man. No, you're that's it. Again, huge alpha right there. Let me just drop one of these here, because that's banger. I will say as well, what's really concerning about all of this is the frequency of situations like this happening, where the account that's you're connecting with has a gold check. That's like thousands of dollars to have on your account, and people are going to that measure to try and fool you. So just like, be suspicious, but don't let it eat away at your humanity. This seems to be the theme of this conversation here today, and I love it, because the world's a hostile place. It's not all rainbows and sunshine, but
No,
it's not all just horrendous crap as well. So there we are.
Trav, if they said that life was easy, they fucking lied to you, man. Excuse my
Liars,
language, but they lied to you if they said
get out
life
of
was
here.
easy.
That is it, man. That is it here. So here's we got about 12 minutes left here. I wanna get to some like real nitty gritty, actionable pieces of advice that our audience can walk away from and actually implement to start seeing some progress. So, maybe one thing that I'll introduce here is kind of like this rule I had no idea even existed in the algorithm, but it's exactly how the algorithm kind of measures and scores a post to determine how much it's going to get viewed. And then maybe we can talk about, how to actually kind of score how you need to score. So this is going to get a
Mhm.
little technical for a second here, but I think it's really important to understand, and I'll try to make it as, understandable as possible here. So the the in a nutshell, you're not stuck because you're posting too little. You're actually stuck at a wall. So this is the interesting thing. Every post lives in two pools, and this is like, what's what I'm trying to say here. I don't want to. Anyways, I'm just gonna start talking here. So people who already follow you, and then everyone else, and the breakout happens when you could prove to the algorithm that your post is successful enough with the people who already follow you, if you can get a certain amount of engagement from your core following, then the algorithm will start to now introduce it to people outside of your following. And there's a very specific equation on how it does this. So it's called the breakout ratio. And this is going to get extremely nerdy here for just a second, but this is important. So it takes the amount of views that you get from people in your circle and divides it by followers. And if it's under 15%, that means no stranger is ever even going to see it. And that's kind of like the goal is that's when you start to break through that impression barrier. That's when you start to see thousands, 2,000, 3,000, 10,000s of views. It means that you that ratio is greater than 15%, and now the algorithm is going to boost you. So for example, on my last 100 posts, 80 of those posts never even left my own personal network. There was only 20, which actually I'd say is still pretty good, that actually left my Trav pool and was shown to other people here. So first of all, I'm kind of curious. Did you know that? Like, is that
I did
am I
not.
okay? So that's really interesting. So what I'm gonna do after this is I'm gonna one of the things that we do here, Marky, is we have our own app, shipguild.com. And one of the things that we have on this app is for anyone who holds our token, which is the ship token, you can have access to kind of all of like a bunch of reports, a bunch of like top pieces of alpha that we kind of put together from whatever it is that we're researching that week. So I'm going to be posting this onto our app here, and then to be honest, I'll put it in the newsletter as well because I hate gatekeeping stuff here. So if you guys want to subscribe to our newsletter, link is actually on shipguild.com or theshipguild.com as well, so you can check that out. But I'll be taking all of this stuff and I'll be posting it there so you guys can refer to it afterwards. And there'll be a lot of stuff on there that we won't have the time to talk about today as well here. So um I'm curious, now that I've kind of let this out there, any idea on ways that you can actually boost that percentage so that you can get to that 15%? Or, like, have you noticed anything for those odd posts that you make that actually do break through that impression barrier that may have stood out to you?
For me, what I've noticed lately in the last couple of weeks, Trav, and
Mhm.
maybe this is something I've noticed, and maybe it's not, necessarily true. I haven't done the research on it yet, but I've
Fair.
noticed the posts that I've been more about my life specifically instead of being more crypto related posts have done much better overall in impressions, views, and everything. The moment I start bringing any type of crypto tweet, I've noticed those tweets necessarily don't do as good. And I
Mhm.
don't know if that's something you maybe can, have a little bit more insight in, but I feel like the posts that were more organic for me personally are the ones that expanded more where I reached outside the bubble and I saw people commenting from, people that don't even follow me. But the posts that were crypto related, that is, my main audience, those aren't going anywhere. So maybe you could give me a little bit more insight, Trav.
Yeah, man. I would be happy to. So, there's a bunch of different factors here, but essentially, the best way to kinda look at this is to look at what are the things that boost your post the most? And one of the top things that will kind of improve that engagement that you get are actually replies from mutuals. Those actually carry a 15% boost to the to your actual post itself. Um, so one of the ways to get those replies from mutuals is to write about something that they can relate to and that they want to actually engage with, if you know what I mean. And I find from my own personal experience, and this is going to be different for everyone, the ones where I'm just getting out there, celebrating my wins in a way that's not a humble brag, but that's like, genuine. Like I can't even believe this is happening. I put so much work into this and here I am, I'm so grateful. And like it was tough because I went through this, and this, but I overcame and here we are. I truly believe from my own experience that people love the story. They love the overcoming hard times. They love the victories and they're there to support you through the downfalls as well. And if you can just write about it in a way that's like genuine and interesting and organic, then people are going to be more inclined to engage with you, and that's what you need to boost that, get over that 15% ratio here. So a lot of that is from research, but then a lot of that is from my own personal experience as well. And there is one interesting fact I saw in the algorithm, and this is it here, and this is maybe a good one to spend a minute or two talking about here. It's what you post about beats how you read it. And this is
Mm.
interesting because I was getting really obsessed and really, almost too focused on how do I actually write my content so that people will actually want to read it. And while there is still huge merit to that, if you can actually research storytelling, copywriting, realize, how to actually formulate a post that's fun to read, that captures somebody's attention, that makes it relatable, it really comes down to what you post about. And so I actually did this. I tested 11 writing rules on 100 real posts. 10 of those predicted absolutely nothing, including specificity, reading level, sentence length, all these stupid things here that really I didn't need to worry about. The one thing that survived though is posts opening with a like concrete evidence that something actually happened broke out 50% of the time versus 10% of the time for everything else. And for me, these were posts about milestones. So like for example, day 2 of teaching myself how to do motion graphic design or motion design, here's what I did. Like really starting it with a milestone, like those specific posts broke out 50% of the time here. So
Wow.
I just said a lot. How you can find out what works for you and what you can write and or what you can write about and how to frame it in a way that's, actually going to boost is go to Grok because I know 90% of you guys have the blue checks. You have free access to Grok. Go to your analytics, take the last 3 months of actual content that you wrote, not replies. Make sure to specify that. Take that, plug it into either Grok or if you have Claude or ChatGPT, and have those conversations with them. What sort of patterns can you find over the last 3 months? What did better than others? Why did it do so good? What am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? And that's how I found out that these are the things for me that work more often than not here. So again, I just said a lot, Marky, and these conversations I try to not keep about me here, but I did do some research and I'm happy to share that with everyone. What are your thoughts on all this stuff, bro?
Dude, I have to agree with you, because I'm looking through actually my post right now, and the posts I've made about my business, hey, we sold out.
Yeah.
Viral post. You know what I'm saying? Probably one of my highest impressions this month in itself. So those are the, like I said, I completely agree because I'm going through my page right now and looking through everything, and it's right on the knee with what you said. Those posts
Yeah.
where it's very direct and hey, another W, another this or another achievement. Those are the posts that did the best on my pages. So I have to agree with you. With the science and data you backed and what I'm looking at right now, it's true. It's facts.
Awesome, man. Awesome. There we go. Hey, I'm glad that we were able to kind of get to some nitty gritty here. One thing, actually, Marky, and I'm saying this to you, and I'm saying this to our audience here as well, is that one of the things that I've been really motivated to do here is to actually kind of figure out almost like a playbook to to you know to actually like really kind of add a little bit of jet fuel to your growth on X because again, like there is value and there's merit to it. Um, I totally just lost my train of thought here. My mind's going in like 8 different directions. I'm super excited here. So this is all positive. This is all positive here. Essentially, let's just cut to the chase here. I am trying to actually build another app here that that basically helps you create a content strategy that's not cookie cutter, that's not like super bland, that's not like run of the mill. I wanna create it. I'm trying to create an app actually, and I'm still at the almost at the point where I've tested it enough that I can actually build it because it's gotta have the humanity in it. To build that content strategy here. So I know pretty soon I'm gonna be looking for people to help test it to see how it works for them. So if you're interested, man, I'm more than happy. This is not something that I'm trying to do for profit. This is not something that I'm trying to do, to gain recognition. Like over the last couple of weeks, the biggest thing that I've heard from people, especially when I was trying to monetize, is a lot of frustration. People work really hard out here. People like yourself are genuinely trying to make the world a better place here, and there's a lot of frustration. How come these people who are posting about bullshit are getting tens of thousands of views easily, but me, I'm out here trying to be a good person. I get nothing, and I think you know what, that's valid. I think that's valid. So if you are interested, more than happy to share that with you. And then if there's anyone else in the audience right now, who's interested, definitely drop a comment on any of the links here. Happy to keep you guys posted on that as well. And yeah, let's all grow together here. This is the way. Um, so yeah,
That's the way. That's the way,
mic back
Trav.
at
So
you,
all
man.
of you guys, I better see each and every single one of you guys on this, sending a message to Trav. I need all messages to Trav right now. Send him a DM and tell him, hey, I want to be a beta tester for your app. Because I'm telling you, that's how we make apps better, guys. And that's how we help each other, honestly, dude. It's the same thing. I've been having people test my app. And then, Trav, now I'm about to send you a DM with the link to my app. And so you could test it out. So
Please
this
do.
is the purpose and what we spoke about earlier. It's not a competition. It's helping each other keep growing, keep getting better. So that way we both get to a point where we're both on top and succeeding. It's never been about competition with me. It's always been like, yeah, let's be a little bit, competitive, but there's always a great way to do it. It doesn't have to be negative. There's good competition out there, and we see it a lot on the Solana ecosystem where we see a lot of these, projects, especially right now with the cards, the card meta. You see all these platforms public, but it's like, who's going to be the one at the end of the day in the next couple months to stay up there, to succeed and keep pushing? And it's going to show
Absolutely.
you who was there for the long run and who was there for the short run. And I think that's what it's all about, man.
Right there with you, man. Right there with you. Yeah, we're all in this together. You know you're around the right people where it's not a competition. It's you guys are just there to help raise the bar for one another and just keep pushing forward, keep growing, keep succeeding here. But also be there, to have your back when things don't go right. And things will not go right all the time. So
Most of the
yeah,
time.
man, great way to kind of full circle this conversation here. As much as you can get obsessed without the algorithm, as much as you can get obsessed with numbers, really it all comes down to just find that humanity, man. Just be here for the biggest value that you could possibly get, and that's the people. And if you're finding that you're in a toxic echo chamber, change echo chambers, man. There's a lot of good on X, and it's worth absolutely worth looking around until you find people who you want to surround yourself with here. And I think you are a great example of that here, Marky. So yeah, I've kept you for an hour here, so we'll wrap this up. Any kind of final thoughts? Any kind of final words here before we end it off, there, Marky?
Dude, the only final words I got, dude, is keep up the great work, Trav. You've been absolutely
Thank you.
killing it, dude. I've even in, I would say, the last 3 months, really, that I've been like really kind of keeping an eye. You've been out like outpacing the pace, dude. So keep up the great work, dude. Love the streams, love the content you've been, clipping for SoFlare. Keep it all up, dude. And dude, if you keep it up, that means I got to keep it up. So just know that the more you succeed, the more it's putting pressure on me to go harder, though. So keep up the great work, man. You're pushing me, and I hope that with my work and everything that I'm doing, I'm pushing you. And that's what it's all about, man. Is trying to really push each other, dude, to the next level. And if we can do that, I'm telling you, we're all gonna succeed. There's not gonna be
100%.
any losers at that point.
Honestly, man. No, well, hey, thank you so much for saying those words there, dude. Knowing that my content is making a difference for people out there like yourself, I'm just gonna be tripling down again. And that's that. So thank
And
you,
that's
dude.
that.
Thank you. And that's like a great way to end this off here. Is first of all, give Marky a follow. It no longer needs to be proven to you how worthy this man is of your support, of your your fellowship here. So you can see right here, Marky with three eyes, Web3. Find him on X. Give this man some follow. Also, dude, I am waiting for your GoFundMe link. So send that to me whenever you
Oh
can.
yeah.
We're gonna post that underneath these streams here. And if you guys if you guys have it in you, just let's blow that post up here. It's again, it's already been proven to you how much this will mean and how much this will help here. So yeah, we will wrap it up here. So if you guys enjoyed this stream, definitely, let us know. If there's anything we could have done better, also let us know. I love feedback. Roast me, please. I love that stuff. Yeah, that's about it. My name is Trav. This is Marky. And together we are speaking on behalf of Ship Guild. Thank you guys so much for being with us here today. Thank you so much for taking the time to engage with these conversations. Truly believe this is what it's all about. We are all here to grow together, to benefit from the beautiful world that is Web3 here. And until next time, we will see you guys on the timeline. Much love.